I'm Robert LeBoyer, Senior Biotechnology Analyst at Noble Capital. Our next presenting company is Ensysce Biosciences, a company in clinical stage development for powerful abuse and tamper-proof opioids to prevent overdose and abuse. With us is the CEO, Dr. Lynn Kirkpatrick. Please go ahead, Dr. Kirkpatrick.
Thanks very much. Before I jump into my presentation, I want to give a brief summary of Ensysce itself. As Robert said, we're a clinical stage company. We have 2 drugs in development, and we feel we are set to disrupt the pain market with these novel opioid products to treat severe pain, yet reduce abuse and prevent prescription drug overdose. We've been granted fast track status and breakthrough therapy designation by the FDA. We've also been supported by the federal government with a number of large multi-year grants. Finally, we have clinical data to demonstrate that our products work, reduce pain, and we're set to enter phase 3 clinical trials. Now I'll explain to you why we believe we are set to launch the next generation of opioid analgesics. What sets Ensysce apart, we're actually harnessing exquisite trypsin-controlled chemistry, which is linked to drugs that we know are efficacious. Our first technology platform, TAAP, or Trypsin-Activated Abuse Protection, uses chemistry to modify drugs to make them inactive until they're swallowed. This chemistry also allows us to control the rate of release of the active ingredient so we can improve the performance. Coupled with TAAP, we have MPAR, and this is a combination product, again with trypsin-controlled chemistry to provide overdose protection. Both of these are utilized to improve the safety of drugs, reduce abuse, and have created a new class, which we call the next generation of opioid products. We've utilized TAAP and MPAR to modify opioids, as illustrated on our diverse pipeline slide. Our lead product, PF614, is a TAAP-modified oxycodone opioid. The FDA has granted us fast-track status. Our second product, PF614 MPAR, combines our TAAP product with our trypsin inhibitor to give us overdose protection. This is a product that the FDA granted breakthrough therapy designation. We've utilized TAAP and MPAR for other drug classes, and we're attempting to also enter the opioid use disorder with this technology. So, as we know, opioids are caught in a dueling crisis. There are millions of people waking up every day in severe pain who require opioids and that function well on them. And yet they're having problems accessing their medication due to restrictions that have been placed on this class of drug due to the rampant abuse that's occurred over the last few decades. With these dueling crises, what's the solution? Well, Ensysce's solution is to create a new class of opioids we call the next generation in order to provide powerful pain relief, yet reduce abuse, give prescribers and patients comfort in taking an opioid product, and for the first time ever, have a product with oral overdose protection. Now, over the last few decades, the solution was to formulate opioids with what's a physical means, a formulation really to slowly release opioids over time. But these formulations can be overcome to reduce or to release the products immediately. This cannot happen with our TAAP and MPAR technology, and that differentiates us from what's been tried over the last few years. Now, because of the restrictions, we know the market has shrunk, but it's still a $1 billion market. And our strategy is to seek approval for PF614 initially in the acute pain space, as we work to move PF614 and the follow-on product PF614 MPAR forward in the chronic pain space. Now I'll tell you a little bit really how PF614 works and what it means to be a TAAP modified opioid. The FDA has recognized the unmet need here by granting us fast track designation, and we're working to move PF614 to approval as quickly as possible. Again, this is a cartoon illustrating how our technology works. On the right-hand side, a cartoon showing PF614 as a capsule. It has to be swallowed, so the chemical modification makes it inactive until it's swallowed, exposed to an enzyme that's only in our small intestine. This enzyme is called trypsin, hence the name Trypsin-Activated Abuse Protection. When PF614 is exposed to trypsin, that starts the activation process. The difference with our approach versus others is that we have a two-step activation process. And the trypsin starts it, and then we have what's called a clock, which dictates whether or not we have immediate or extended release or slow release of the opioid into the gut and then absorption into the bloodstream. Now, importantly, our chemistry is not easily manipulated, and that provides us our abuse protection. PF614 is being developed for severe pain. As I mentioned, it's a prodrug, inactive drug until it's swallowed. We receive fast track status, and because it's releasing a known effective opioid, oxycodone, we're able to have this developed through what's called a 505 regulatory, the B2 regulatory pathway, shortening our time and cost to approval. So we really believe PF614 is an ideal analgesic for severe pain. We've already demonstrated it can release oxycodone in an equivalent manner as OxyContin, the marketed product. This is called bioequivalence. So we know we have efficacy. We've shown PF614 releases oxycodone in a slow manner to release its highest blood levels. So it's not liked by people who like to abuse drugs recreationally. Importantly, PF614 has a real 12-hour half-life. And this allows twice daily dosing. And that's in contrast to the marketed products, which are prescribed twice a day, but don't necessarily last twice a day. And that's difficult if you get back into a pain cycle before your second dose. Additionally, we have no food effects. It doesn't matter if you take our product on an empty stomach or with food, and we can dissolve PF614 in water and it still retains its abuse deterrent properties. So our chemistry switches on or switches off the activation in an overdose situation. This slide gives the data to show what I just told you on the previous slide. On the left-hand side, we can see increases amounts of PF614, releases oxycodone into the bloodstream. In the middle, we have a true 12-hour half-life in contrast to OxyContin or Xtampza, the two other marketed products. And on the right-hand side, PF614 in studies with recreational drug users isn't liked, and they've chosen not to take it again in their responses, showing that there is a significant difference with comparable products that release oxycodone immediately. Now, we've completed a number of studies. The initial 102 shown here has demonstrated that PF614 is equivalent to OxyContin for delivering oxycodone. And that's significant because we can use the 505(b)(2) regulatory pathway, a shorter path to registration. The two middle studies, the 103 and 104, were human abuse potential studies in recreational drug users, measuring how well they liked our product versus a comparator. We had significant reduced liking, and this will lead to abuse deterrent labeling. Finally, the last study we've just completed, the 201 study, was a small time of onset study to provide us data to design our phase 3 studies that we're planning to initiate later in 2024. In 2024, we've already completed our end of phase 2 meeting with the FDA earlier this year. And this, we've been able to have discussions about our non-clinical, our manufacturing, as well as our pivotal trials. And that has led to the design of our pivotal studies, which we are now preparing as protocols to submit to the FDA to evaluate the pain efficiency reduction of PF614 in a post-surgical model, again, in the acute pain space. So this illustrates our timeline. Our goal is to submit an NDA by the end of 2025, while we continue to develop PF614 for the use in chronic severe pain. Now, PF614 MPAR, as I mentioned, is a combination product. It is our second product. It's different than PF614 itself. And this is the product that we've received breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA, where they recognize this is a unique product, the first opioid to ever receive this, and the only opioid in development at the moment for oral overdose protection. Now, PF614 MPAR is being developed for severe pain as well, and it has not only less abuse potential, but also reduced overdose potential. And this work has been supported by the federal government through the National Institutes of Drug Abuse. This slide illustrates some of the data we generated from animal studies. On the left, when we give unprotected PF614, you can see increasing amounts of this product give increasing amounts of oxycodone. On the middle panel, PF614 with MPAR protection, importantly, delivers oxycodone in a similar fashion at the low, potentially prescribed dose. But as you dose escalate, in case you forget, if you've taken your medication, the MPAR protects from activation until the material can pass out of the body and avert an overdose. Now, that was animal studies. This is our clinical data, and this is the data the FDA reviewed to grant breakthrough therapy designation. On the left-hand side, you can see unprotected PF614 increases the amount of oxycodone in the blood as you increase the administration. And importantly, we want to design a product to be able to deliver 2 doses, probably twice daily, which is a typical prescribed dose. And on the right-hand side, we've been able to design that into our PF614 MPAR 25 milligram dosage form, where 25 milligrams and 50 milligrams give equivalent amounts of oxycodone, but as the amount of the dose units are increased up to 8 dose units, you can see that the activation of PF614 is reduced, averting an overdose. Again, these were the studies where the data was presented to the FDA, and in January of this year, we were granted that designation. And we're working closely with the FDA to be able to bring this product to market as quickly as possible. We spoke to the FDA earlier this year. We're planning follow-on studies of our higher dosage forms in both a single and a multi-ascending dose study, and planning another discussion with the FDA later in the year as we design our final development program. So in order to do this, I put together a highly motivated and experienced team, a team experienced in pain drug development with Dr. Schmidt, our CMO, experience in launching challenging drugs with our Chief Commercial Officer, Jeff Burkett, expertise in both drug development and manufacture with Dr. Pistano and Dr. Millard, and Dave Humphrey on the phone providing us financial support. Additionally, we have an advisory board with vast experience in pain, addiction, and abuse, and a diverse board to support us through our activities. Now, on the financial side, as I mentioned, our programs have been supported by 2 large federal grants, of which we still have funds that were available to draw down this year. Earlier this year, we undertook 2 financings, which is seeing us through our regulatory activities, but we do need to raise money closer to the end of the year. So in summary, again, we're a clinical stage company using transformative trypsin-controlled chemistry to deliver novel opioid products into a market where severe pain has no other options. We know our products are effective, so we've reduced our clinical risk. We have a shortened time to registration by using the 505(b)(2) regulatory pathway, and all of our products are covered by a global patent estate, composition of matter, method of use in approximately 25 different countries. And I have an experienced management team to help launch this next generation of opioid products as quickly as we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kirkpatrick. That was a very interesting presentation, and interesting technology. I've heard of many crush-proof technologies that have been attempted for preventing opioid abuse, but this is the first one I've heard about opioid overdose. So this is something that I see that could restore the status of opioids in clinical use. What I've been hearing for many years is that the FDA and the DEA have been tightening all of the scrutiny on doctors and manufacturers so that there just aren't enough opioids available to meet the patient needs. And the people they were developed for can't get them because there's so much abuse. So you have 2 technologies that addresses that problem.
Absolutely, and it is what we point out, this dueling crisis, those people in pain that can't access their medication now because of all the restrictions that have been placed on opioids.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the market for opioids today is about $1 billion. Would I be correct in thinking that this might encourage additional use and more use by the patients with this technology that allows them to avoid overdose and addiction and could expand the market? Is that something?
Well, I'm not sure if it expands the market. The opioids are being used. It's the access that should, we hope, with our technology, loosen when they recognize that patients will have safer products in their medicine cabinet, and make people more comfortable taking an opioid. Some people shy away from, even though they need an opioid for severe pain.
Yeah.
We're looking at launching for severe pain, post-surgical pain, in the acute space, but there are needs in the chronic pain space as well. And both of these together have truly, in America and worldwide, an extremely large market.
Oh, no question about it. And could you expand a little bit on the FDA's granting breakthrough status designation and what was required and what you receive in exchange for this or when you get this designation?
Well, we were granted breakthrough therapy, and what that does is recognize the novelty of this compared to other products in the market, and it allows us to interact with the agency more directly, and they will help us facilitate moving this product into the market more quickly. Now, what we had to demonstrate to them was that clinical data I presented in the presentation, that we were actually able to deliver an opioid at what we believe would be a prescribed dose, 1 or 2 pills or capsules. But if 3 or more are taken, that's when we are able to see the reduction of the activation of our product, averting an overdose, and the agency thought that was very unique. We will be continuing our phase 1 evaluation of our MPAR product at higher dosage levels to ensure that they also hold that, and the agency has indicated some other data that they'll require. But at the moment, we have been granted this designation to allow us to interact with them more closely.
That's great. And you also touched on grants. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The National Institute on Drug Abuse, again, recognized the novelty of our approach. You talked about being able to crush, and that's why I referred to the old technology, the formulations. People were able to crush that. They can extract the opioid very quickly. They are able to inject it and snort it. That's what is different between ours, because even if you crush PF614 into a powder, it won't release the product more quickly. NIDA recognized that. They have supported that as well as our MPAR technology, and we'll continue obviously to try and tap into this non-dilutive type of financing to assist us again in developing the products as quickly as possible.
Great. And when you start the phase 3, what are the endpoints that you're looking for to determine success or failure?
Our phase 3 products, our programs are being developed, severe post-surgical pain. So what we will be looking for is clinically as well as statistically meaningful demonstrations of analgesia, and we'll be comparing that to standard of care as well as placebo. But the primary endpoint will be versus placebo in this acute pain model. We'll be undertaking twice daily dosing, and we'll be looking at the adverse effects in this study. And we're hoping to show that PF614 has less side effects and potentially gives better pain control over a short period of time to be able to ease the patients into other types of analgesics.
Great. And in terms of cash, you mentioned raising money. Are there additional grants that are available, or will it all be equity or any non-dilutive funding available?
We're exploring both at the moment, and obviously Dave, our finance person, is on the call, but at the moment we are looking at additional funding through the government to support some of the program. But again, as we prepare for our phase 3 protocols, now we're in a slightly downtime as far as our burn rate, but we will be looking to undertake financing in around the 3rd quarter of this year.
Sure. Okay. And your extended release technology sounds like it has a lot of potential. There's the delivery technology, and then there's the extended release technology for therapeutics that have reached the small intestine. Could this be applied to other types of molecules for extended release, or am I getting too far down the pipeline? Or
no, you understood correctly. We've actually applied it to other technology. We have ADHD products, and with our chemistry, we can actually control the release. So we've designed both immediate release. It still has the abuse protection because you can't get the opioid until you swallow it. But we also designed the chemistry for extended release. So that's what's given us our large extended pipeline of products. PF614 is extended release. our ADHD product. We have an immediate as well as an extended release, and we have other opioids that we've utilized TAAP and MPAR for. And we certainly believe our technology could be used to deliver drugs into the gut where they might be needed for other indications, such as irritable bowel or something like that. And we have been talking to potential partners about applying our technologies for other types of therapeutics.
Yeah, something like levodopa and ADHD, you know, all drugs that have a window of effectiveness or a sundowning effect, you know, after efficacy wears off. It sounds like a very good fit for those type of drugs.
Absolutely.
Okay, and there's a question from the floor asking, is there any more progress or news regarding the collaboration with Oncozine?
We're continuing to have discussions with Oncozine. We have explored non-dilutive financing to bring their technology into the United States. They're obviously moving forward with the development of Bupazenge for oral mucositis. Cancer patients who are treated get this debilitating ulceration in their oral cavity, and their product has been able to provide pain relief for them in a lozenge form. They are looking to initiate their phase 3 program in Europe, and we were looking to extend their reach into the United States with the product. And we're still in discussions and working towards that, but we haven't had major progress at the moment.
Okay, and one last question. Could you just review some of the milestones ahead between now and the next 6 or 12 months?
Certainly. On a regulatory standpoint, we've completed 2 of our meetings with the FDA earlier this year, but we're still planning to undertake a meeting with PF614 to discuss their manufacturing route to commercialization, as well as our MPAR program with our breakthrough therapy designation, a meeting at the end of the year. We're looking clinically to initiate our phase 3 program for PF614, as well as additional phase 1 studies for PF614 MPAR. And we're anticipating data from the MPAR program closer to the end of the year. And we're currently making progress on the boring part, which is the manufacturing portion, to get us ready for commercialization.
Okay, well, that's quite a few milestones. I'm looking forward to following the company and watching those develop. So thank you very much. It's been a very interesting presentation, and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.